Hello and welcome to Chapter 4, Exercise 13, Training Course Data Manager, Part 3. Okay, have a lot of components to cover and where to start? We have 4 main components: schedule, courses, trainers, participants. I like to start with signals, but this time I am going to start with the main, controlling component. Open x13_courses.svelte, libdata Chapter 4. Now, I will skim over most of what we have covered already and focus on new or specific items. Import the fetch function from each dataset signals file. Import the view components of each dataset. Declare state for the menu items, selected component and isInitialLoad. The effect loads all the data by calling the fetch functions, which update signals for each dataset. That's the script, and in the markup the title is displayed, and the menu options with on-click and on-key-down setting selected component to the option.component from menu options. Then we have a conditional for each major component, which will only display the selected component. And that's all there is to x13_course, Svelte. It simply organizes the other components. Next, let's look at signals. Specifically, I'm going to start with the participants components, as these do not depend on the other components, so should be simpler, right? And we will follow the data flow from UI through signals and API onto server and data manager. Are you ready? Open file participant signals.svelte.js, chapter for trainer. First thing we see is an import of API functions. The reason for this is we are centralizing logic in the signals files, and these, rather than the main UI components, interact with API. Next, an alert function from an app-wide signals file. I set a const for reset_participant. The data for the recipient has their ID, name, department, and a flag for deleted items. Next, the signals. Participant signal will hold all the participant data in an array. Selected participant signal is used when you click on Update, Delete for a particular participant. Mode signal is used to control whether we are in Add, Update, or Delete mode. Okay, scroll past the standard getters and setters, and we have several functions for fetching, updating, deleting, resetting participants. I will explain the update participant function, which is called with the participant data and action add forward update. This awaits update data, which sends a request to update or add the participant in the server data. We will see that in the next video. This uses API service, which sends an HTTP request, which is processed by the root participant plus server.js file, and the server responds via participant datamanager.js. We will also see that in the next video. If the response is successful, if result, then it checks for action add that the result has an ID returned and sets participant data.id to that value. We will also see later that this ID, for a new participant, is derived on the server for security and accuracy. It cannot reliably be obtained from signals, client side. Next, it sets up update participants, which, for add, means take the existing participants, spread, and append the data passed to the function, participant data. If the action is not add, which means it's update, as we are only using add and updated here, then it loops through, map, each participant in participant signal. And if the ID matches participant data.id, the data sent to the function, then it replaces that participant with the data passed to the function, otherwise leaves the data unchanged. The set participants is updating the signal with the updated participant sorted by name, and then triggers an alert and returns the results. Function update participant is called from toggle delete in signals and also in participant editor, save function. Okay, I think the other functions are self-explanatory, so I will leave you to browse through these as you wish. And that is signals for participants. Don't worry if this seems complex at first, it will get easier and more meaningful. In fact, what you see here is almost exactly the same as for courses, trainers, and schedules. And in case you ask why not make it generic, then I will say this is a challenge you are welcome to try yourselves. Is it certainly possible to create generic signals and pass a parameter like entity, but it not only makes the code harder to read, but it also means potentially more components are affected by changes, making it harder to maintain. There is a balance between reducing duplication of code and complexity and maintainability. For this exercise, almost all components for each dataset are fairly close to duplicates, for simplicity, readability, and maintainability. Okay, next open participant view.svelte. You may recall that if you click on any of the components, you see an Add button, a Show Deleted of All button, and a list of items with options to edit or update or delete. So that's what's going to happen here. We import signals and import the editor component, which handles the add and update. Set state for only the toggle Show Deleted button. Next, we have a few straightforward functions. Note for the update function, in case the list is long, this scrolls up to the new e-update section for user convenience. Nothing much new to see in the markup. Conditionally display the Add Update section, then display the participants using a signal. Remember, in the main UI component, we load all data and store to signals. And you see we have a class for deleted and an onClick that calls the update participant signal function for updates. The delete icon called the local handle delete function, which calls the signal toggle delete, keeping as much logic centralized in the signals file and out of the essentially UI component. And that's it for the participant view component. Now, remember this calls the participant editor component if mode is add or update, which is triggered by clicking the add button or the edit update icon. So, next, we look at that component. Open participant editor.svelte, chapter for trainer. Import signals, set state. Function save participant calls the update participant signal function. Note that the response should contain an ID assigned server-side when a new participant is added. Next, a couple of reactives. One for checking if required data has been entered, used to disable the Add Save button, and an effect. The effect renders on component load and when the signals change, ensuring new participant is loaded with the selected participant's details if another participant's update icon is clicked. That's the script, and in the markup, conditionally display for add the update we want to show for update the fields populated with the existing data, and for add, the fields should be blank. And we will wrap it up there. A bit of a long video. Some shorter ones coming. In the next video, we will follow the data flow from these UI components and signals to API and beyond. See you there.